This week, we'll catch up with my brother Isaac, as well as his soon-to-be brother-in-law and uncle, Josh and Steve, as they head to Colorado for an archery elk hunt. Between the incredible views, screaming bulls, and bugs that are entertaining if not annoying.
What is this thing?
There's plenty of good times to be had. So tag along as we head into the Rocky Mountains searching for that opportunity to call back and forth with North America's most unique member of the deer species, Rocky Mountain elk, in an attempt to bring one into bow range.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
The first 2 days of the trip would be spent hiking to 11,000 feet to set up camp and scouting the basin where Josh and Steve had found elk in previous years.
Well, it's day 3 of our Colorado over-the-counter archery elk hunt. It's going okay. We haven't seen any elk yet, but we've seen some awesome views in this basin over here that we've been hunting. But I'm beat. These mountains are no joke, that is for sure. That's actually why I'm sitting here right now. I got pretty nasty blisters on both heels and on a couple of my toes. So that's not good, but yeah, my neck, I think my face too, I'm not sure about my face, but definitely my neck got sunburned really bad, which is why I started wearing this hat. Keep some of that sun off of my neck. But I think tomorrow morning we might be packing up camp and heading up over this ridge up here and trying the basin on that side and see if we can find elk over there, because we covered a lot of ground in this basin over here and we could not find any elk, and not even fresh sign really. It's a really good time even if you're not seeing elk. The blisters and the sunburn and stuff and whatever this bug is aren't always that fun, but definitely a good time. And I recommend getting yourself some dried mango when you come out here. What is this thing? Just trying to eat my dried mango, whatever it is. Anyways, dried mango, that hits the spot.
That evening, as plans were being made for a move, several elk could be heard bugling in the distance. So at first light, they packed up camp and headed 2 miles west in their direction. Finally, they were on the right track, as more than one bull could be heard bugling several hundred yards away. Slowly, they began to close the distance. Knowing that the bull was close, Josh moves into position to call, while Isaac and Steve split off to try to set up for a shot.
Well,
I never saw any, but that last one I heard was not very far above me.
oh, the bugle?
Yeah,
He was up there.
a really loud one that was like, I don't know,
Okay.
there was like some purring in it, I don't know how you... Yeah, it was up there. All the other ones I heard were down here.
Yeah, we chased him around.
Oh, you saw them?
That was my bad. They busted him. Wind's still good. Yeah, the cows busted him. Yeah. All I saw were cows. I never saw the bull, but me neither. But he was coming. Yeah, he was coming. Him and the cows.
Yeah, they were below us, so we both had downhill.
Yeah, he bugled down below, so we bombed down off the hill.
And the cow was above me. I'm sneaking along the face, and there she went.
Well, the wind's still good to walk that way.
Yeah, and if there was a bugle up there,
I don't know if we've invited company or not yet.
maybe. But we want to spread out a little bit and head that direction.
After covering a few hundred yards to try to hang with the bull, Isaac came to a meadow. Unfortunately, they wouldn't locate the bull, but he'd marked the location on the map as a place worth visiting the following day. What was not in the plans was a day filled with rainy weather. In order to not risk ruining the cameras, Isaac headed out without them. What followed was a story that can only be told by Isaac himself.
After an exciting Wednesday hunt, we went to bed that night with high hopes for Thursday morning. Thursday brought steady rain, so now we were not only walking through tall wet grass, but also getting rained on. And for me, steady rain meant my GoPro and camcorder are staying in a dry bag. I really wanted to capture everything on film, but the risk of damaging the cameras was too high. We headed out in the rain with hopes of striking up a conversation with some bulls, just like the day before. We took the same route and tried some calls, but we just couldn't get a response. We decided we would use our knowledge of where the elk were the day before to try to get on them again. There was a big open meadow that we came to, and that's most likely the general area where the elk were. So the plan was for me to make my way up to that meadow and find a good spot to set up, and then Josh and Uncle Steve would head up through a ravine that ran through the basin, and if they pushed any elk, maybe I would be in position to get a shot, or at least see where the elk go. So I was walking up towards the meadow, and I came to an opening that we had walked through the day before. The opening looked like a spot where elk might be, so I was keeping my eyes peeled for movement. I got maybe 10 steps out into the open, and then sure enough, I saw 2 elk move through a small clearing on the hillside above the opening, probably less than 150 yards away. Since I had gotten myself out into the opening, I knew I was going to have a rough time getting into a good position. With no prior elk hunting experience, I definitely don't know what the right move would have been here, but I decided I was going to take my time, slip back into the trees, and slowly make my way onto the hillside where I saw the elk. After at least 20 minutes of extremely slow walking, I was finally on the hillside. I got myself tucked in where I had a couple shooting lanes, but I was also covered really well with a couple pine trees.
But at this point it had been 20 to 30 minutes since I had seen any elk, so I was beginning to wonder if they had maybe spooked on my way over. I watched in the direction where I had seen them for a few minutes and I never saw anything moving, so I decided it was time to hit a couple cow calls. Again, maybe the wrong move, but I really don't have enough experience to know. So anyways, I put my mouth call in and hit 2 simple cow calls. As soon as I hit that second call, I caught some movement through the trees about 50 yards above me, and my heart rate had to have hit about 200 beats per minute. The movement I saw was the antlers of a nice bull moving as he turned his head to face me. I kind of locked up at that point as my heart rate was probably nearing 300 beats per minute, and I was just staring at the bull. He needed to be at least 10 yards closer for me to even consider a shot, and there was a wall of dead trees blocking most of his body. After a couple minutes, he took his cows and went over the hill. Once he was out of sight, I quickly grabbed my bugle tube and let out a loud bugle, and the bull immediately responded. With this response, I was still hopeful that I maybe had a chance, but we ended up going back and forth a few times, and each time the bull was further away. He stopped answering and disappeared into the next basin. As much as I wanted to get a shot at that bull, that was probably the most exciting hunt I have ever been on. I eventually met back up with Josh and Uncle Steve, and found out that Uncle Steve had actually seen a bull as well. We exchanged our stories, and then we had to assess our situation. There was still a steady rain at this point, and we were completely soaked. The chances of us getting dry were next to none, so we decided we would work our way back to camp, and then pack up and make the 7-mile hike back to the car. We may not have carried an elk out of those mountains on our backs, but the weight of our packs, as well as the memories we made while we were there, were heavy enough. And most of all, that burning desire remains to get back into the Rocky Mountains in pursuit of stunning scenery and screaming bulls.